My name is James Enderly, and I am presenting Night Vision and Evolution in a Month. Um, so when I talk about night vision, that can mean several different things. We can talk about, soldiers using night vision goggles, which those work by they sense infrared light and then electrically amplify that light into the goggles, and it creates that green glow that we're all very accustomed to seeing, like in this right here. Some snakes have night vision. It's more like natural thermal imaging though, so it works at night as well as the day. Um, and then owls' eyes, they're a lot like ours, except they're a lot bigger, and their pupils can get a lot wider. And so the fact that they're bigger also means that the more light can come into them and bounce around on the inside, and then they can see better. Um, and cats and other animals have what's called the tapetum lucidum, which is a mirror-like film on the back of their eyes. And I'll get into what that does in a little bit. So the problem that I am suggesting that we fix is we can't see very well in the dark, which is a big bummer. Um, and I mean, we can see in the dark, but the time that it takes for us to adjust to the light or the lack of it, I guess I should say, it can take a while. And even then, it's not super great. I mean, you can kind of move around, but it's not very well. Like going camping or hiking or running or any of these other activities at night outdoors, they can even be potentially dangerous just because we can't see very well. Even though, if you're going running and there's street lamps and stuff, in between those lamps, it can still be potentially dangerous. I was longboarding not too long ago at night, and I didn't see a ledge in the concrete, and I hit it and scraped up my arms real bad. Um, and so there's that's a problem for the normal day-to-day person, but then also the military or a researcher that's out in the field at night. It can be really difficult to do what they need to do, even with if they've got night vision goggles. Um, those provide a limited range of vision, and then if somebody shines a light at them, you're basically blinded for however long. It's not. I mean, it's effective. It works, but it could be better. And I mean, even walking around just to go to the bathroom at night, it can be a challenge. Like we see here. You turn off the light in your room and you can't see anything, and so you have to kind of grope around for stuff. You can even groping around for like the light switch at night, and even then, we're not very likely to turn on the lights just because it hurts our eyes because our eyes aren't used to being in the light anymore. So the way our eyes work, there's these things called rods and cones that are on the inside of our eyes that kind of just lining the entirety of it. Um, and what happens is light will come in and it'll hit those and it'll kind of bounce around a little bit and then go down to our brain. And the cones, they're a lot more active, like they're used by our eyes in higher light situations. So, during the day when you've got lights on and stuff. And they help us perceive color really well. As you can see, there's the three, basic colors, and, that's how we see them. The rods, they're used more in lower light situations, but they don't really help us see color. They're just kind of there to just detect light. That's basically all they do. Um, Cat eyes, however, they're pretty much the same as ours. They've got around all along their eyes, they've got the cones and rods like we do. Um, they also have a lot more control over the dilation of their pupils than we do. Ours just kind of react to light. Cats, they can change the how dilated their pupils are. Um, which is very useful when they're trying to see at night or if they're just trying to get in more information when they are hunting even during the day. They also have what's called the tapetum lucidum, which is, like I said, it's like a mirror on the back of their eye, and what it does is it helps bounce around the light that's in their eyes more. So, we we have we don't have the tapetum lucidum, but the light does kind of bounce around in our eyes, and that's why we're able to, kind of see at night. But cats and other animals, they have this film, and what it does is it helps bounce around the light even more, so that their rods have more time to collect that information that the light is giving them. And so, how do we take that to us having night vision? So what we've done is we've isolated the part of a cat's DNA that tells their eyes to make this mirror, this tapetum lucidum. And we've taken it and we have created basically a virus with that particular genetic sequence inside of it, uh, along with, it telling whatever it injects into to start making that and all that good stuff. This virus, we've called it the speculum injection, or the spec for short. And it's inserted into the eye via injection. So you go in with this needle and you inject it into the eye, and then it goes and it lands on, the cells in your eye. It pins itself to it. It basically puts another needle into your eye, which is very tiny, into the cells, and it injects its own DNA into the cell, and then that DNA is then collected by the cells, or accepted by the cells in the eye, and it starts to create these mirrors on the back of your eye, and that's actually what speculum means. It means it's Latin for mirror. Um, And after about a week, what we found is the tapetum lucidum is fully formed and functional. It doesn't take too long for it to actually form. Um, we didn't start with humans. Obviously, that'd be a terrible idea, and there's so many things ethically wrong with that. But we did. We started with squirrels. We would have started with mice and rats, but they already have that, and so it would have been super ineffective to give them another tapetum lucidum in the back of their eyes. So we started with squirrels, and they were given tasks like collecting nuts or going through a maze before the injection, and then the days and weeks afterwards. And at first, unfortunately, they would develop tumors in their eyes, and it would cause permanent blindness or even death in some cases. And so we figured that it must have been a problem with the how the virus was telling the cells in the eyes to make this tapetum lucidum, and how it was delivering it to it. And so we tweaked that, and we were finally able to get past those tumors, and we were able to successfully grow the tapetum lucidum inside the squirrel's eyes. And the growth took about 6 to 8 days on average. It just kind of depended on the squirrel, and then after that they were fully grown and functional. The squirrels that were then given the spec, they were found to perform their tasks much faster and with less wandering around, kind of, trying to figure out what was going on than before they'd been given it, and in comparison to those who were not given the spec. We then moved on to giving the spec to pigs. They were also given tasks like going through mazes, or they were supposed to find particular objects, and then they were given rewards for finding them and bringing them back to, the station or wherever. They were given food or, whatever. The growth time of those were also about 6 to 8 days. We're just calling it a week in the pigs. However, in the pigs, we started seeing signs of dizziness, sensitive to light, and headaches when after they were given the spec for about a month after the growth of the tapetum lucidum was completed, and this was due to the pigs' eyes now being much more sensitive to light than before, and it took a while for their eyes to adjust to the extra stimulation. It took a while for their brain to be able to process that information correctly and not just get overloaded with all of this light and information that was coming in. And so after, that month of uncertainty in them, the pigs who underwent that change were observed to excel in their given tasks in comparison to before they were given it, and to the others that weren't given it at all. The spec was then given to Rhesus macaques, which is a type of monkey. that is commonly used for animal testing, and the results were the same as the pigs. They had the same systems, and then also the same increase in successes in the dark. And then finally, we gave it to humans. They were given tasks like finding their way through indoor and outdoor mazes at night, or in next to total darkness inside. Or they were supposed to locate particular objects, and they even did things like reading in the dark, and they were tested on how much they could remember, how much they could actually read, stuff like that. And they showed an increase of 75% in the success rate of completing the given tasks after the adjustment period of about a month was over. And not only were they doing the tasks faster in the dark, but they were much more accurate and made less mistakes. And like in the mazes, they bumped into less walls. Um, and so this final product, we are keeping the name of the speculum injection. We thought it sounds nice and scientific and cool. Um, and we are providing that for anyone who wants it for $650 per person. This can go to, military. This can go to researchers, like I said, working in the nighttime. Can be difficult. Being out there with flashlights is pretty good, but it'd be better to just be able to see. And it can also just be for, people who don't want to bump into their walls when they get up and go to the bathroom at night. It can be for whoever wants it. Um, we do recommend waiting about 10 days. Usually it only takes about a week, but we recommend waiting another 10 days to ensure the successful growth, um, during which time you absolutely 100% need to wear these specialized eyewear. They're basically just really dark sunglasses that minimize the light coming into your eyes, because it's expected that anybody who gets this operation done will be much more sensitive to light and more susceptible to headaches, and other symptoms that were seen in the tests during the space of about a month after the injection is performed. And even during this time after the growth of the tapetum lucidum in their eyes, we recommend them still wearing the specialized eyewear, just because it minimizes all those effects. Um, so that is the product, the speculum injection. Um, are there any questions?